Hey everybody, so I wanted to come to the entire class on this Friday morning. It's actually July 13th, and we're going into the final week of Capsim, final round of the simulation. I'm going to scroll over here and bring up the units of instruction or calendar, and as you can see, we're going into round 5 analysis due next week. Next Thursday, and then the last group of decisions is going to be processed 1 week from this morning, and it's going to wrap up the entire simulation at that point in time. Now, I realize, like in most chances, I've never done a entire group analysis when looking at Capsim, but I actually find that you guys are all in a very similar position. And I don't know if you've had the chance to look at this or not yet, but I logged in this morning just to check, and as we look at some of the statistics, they vary a little bit when we look at return on sales, return on assets, return on equity, things like that. But when we look at sales as a whole, everybody is grouped somewhat closely together, especially Andrews and Baldwin. When we look at cumulative profit, everybody has shown a lot of growth from the past couple rounds and getting further and further ahead in these categories. I would also say that over the previous couple rounds, I've made special mention of trying to increase your contribution margins, and as you see, they all shot up this week significantly. So 33.8 for Andrews, 35.6 for Baldwin, and 28.3 for Team Chester. So those all shot up. I also, and I know that we don't pay a whole lot of attention to this, but I also wanted to see how we were doing from a stock price, and everybody is up once again. Even where Baldwin may have taken a dip last round or 2 rounds ago, they have accelerated back ahead in round 5. So, a couple things that I noticed here. Baldwin made some investments into plant improvements this past round. Going into the last round, it's pretty much up to you on if you're going to choose to spend money or just try to get as much sales and revenue input as you possibly can. And again, I don't know that this is a deviation from any one strategy, but I think it's just a conversation that each team needs to have. I would also notice that as you look at this, everybody's paying back a lot of debt at this point in time too. So I think that is a beautiful thing. And obviously, that is a direct result of having enough cash on hand to be able to engage in those behaviors. And as you can see, between net cash from operations, Andrews, Baldwin, and Chester were rolling in it this past round. So definitely a good job from that point of view right there. All right, let's go ahead and look at, we looked at this a couple times, and from Baldwin and Chester's point of view, we had a lot of inventory that was out there that we wanted to kind of control and get rid of, going from round 4 through round 5. Andrews was in the position where they were able to overproduce, and doing so with 3 different product lines. Now, coming down to the product information, this is really why I wanted to speak to all groups at one point in time. You see that there is no inventory, or virtually no inventory, being carried over from any of the teams at this point in time. So, as we look at this, this gives everybody the opportunity going into the final round to take the strategy and just run with it. Go completely 100%, over 100% to producing and trying to maximize your revenues, whatever they may be. So as you look at it, I know Team Baldwin had some questions about capacity. They looked like they got figured out from the previous round to this round. You can see that if they produce at 198%, they're going to be probably producing about 3,400 units, which could dramatically increase their market share going into the next round. As you look at some of the other teams, such as Team Chester down here, by eliminating all of their excess inventory, they put themselves in a really good position where they can choose to either go high production here, and you can see that they still have room and capacity to do those types of things, or they can go back up and they can try and maximize their high volume, high contribution margin areas in the low and the high segments. And then as you look at team managers up here at the top, they put themselves in a position where every round they're producing, significant amounts, and they're also stocking out of those as well. So, as I said, I think everybody's in this position right now where we have some flexibility in what our strategy is going to be. We have the opportunity to take this last round and do a number of different things with it based upon the decision making for each one of those teams and each one of those market segments. So I'm not going to go into the individual products right now. From an R&D perspective, you know where you should be. What I did want to do really quickly is look at the perceptual maps and then the age and revision dates as well. So as we look at this, hopefully we are moving ourselves into a position where we are all going to remain in the rough and or fine cuts of the product. I don't see too many issues. I know cake, if we're going to do anything with that, we're probably going to have to bump it up a little bit to be able to meet the market segment here. And the same thing with cedar coming over here. But everybody looks in pretty good shape going into this final and last round. And then I don't think that we have any products that need or that are too far out. The only issues may be when we have bold here pushing the revision date out until 2024. Everything else should be able to be adapted going forward. Okay. So I want to leave that up to you. I will be traveling both at a birthday party tomorrow for Team Baldwin's, and then I will be driving on Monday evening, so I will not be able to make the scheduled conference times. But like I said, I wanted to kind of get this information into your hands sooner rather than later. One thing that I did want to touch on, and I know I had the opportunity with Team Chester and Andrews on Monday, but I did not with Team Baldwin. So I wanted to be able to go and look at the final presentation. What's going to be required of that, what we need to be able to do to be able to achieve that. Now, for Team Andrews and Team Chester, I'm still waiting to hear on the final decision dates for your presentation. I believe that we had settled on August 6th, but I'd like to firm that up if at all possible. And I'm going to put that into Team Baldwin's lap as well to decide if it is going to be the... Actually, let me look at a calendar real quick, because we might be positioning ourselves a little bit. Hold on one second, guys. Alright, I actually think that August 4th, yep, that's correct. August 4th is going to have to be the date for Team Baldwin's presentation at 3 o'clock. And the reason for that is the semester actually ends on August 10th. So we won't have the ability to meet that next week. So August 4th and then August 6th are the dates that I have for the presentation. Now, when we look at this, I think this is pretty straightforward. Title, company mission, company strategy, all pretty self-explanatory in my book. When we start to get into the operational alignment and then the analysis, I'm really interested in hearing from individual people and individual departments how you saw this simulation play out as you go through all the different rounds. And then when we get into the analysis section, I think it's best if you pick the metrics or pick the results that best reflect your strategy. So if we go in and we just want to pull 3 random things, I don't think that's going to be the best reflection of why you made decisions. And if we get into this and it seems more generic rather than specific. I think that's one area that we just want to pay attention to and make sure that we don't drift towards. I had a question about, should the people do the takeaways in, alongside of the analysis. It's completely up to you guys. If you want to go and run through R&D, marketing, production, finance from a performance, and then, circle back around to do the same thing from takeaways, that's fine with me. But I think that if we can start going back to our weekly reports and looking to see what are those important statistics, important pieces of information, we can really gather the necessary information for the final presentation pretty quickly. And then just how you guys will be graded, 15 points per section for each of the 4 sections gives 60. Presentation, decision strategies, and then depth and takeaways, 10 points each. I place a lot of importance on these 2 areas here as well. And then the actual quality of the PowerPoint and preparation of each team member, and they have to be present, are the last 20 points. So that's kind of where we are in the course. As we look at, let me back up just to the calendar really quickly. As we go forward, just to see what some of the other pieces and parts of the course are going to be. Alright, so getting into week 8, we have Connect assignments due on Chapter 9 and Alliances and Integration. You'll have your last mini case on the BCG matrix due on July 22nd. And then we also want to keep in mind that we have a Peregrine assessment due. And you'll notice it down here. That is actually open right now. So if you want to go and complete that, you have the ability to do so. I think we've already had a couple people do that actually. And what this is it is a final assessment over your entire time here at Columbus State. So if you score over a 50, you get an additional 10 bonus points on it. Otherwise, it's a 50-point assignment. If you have any questions on it, please just feel free to reach out and let me know. Thanks for your time today, guys. I look forward to getting into week 8. And like I said, I just wanted to get this information to you sooner rather than later. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.